Okay, good morning everyone. Let's first test the technology. I hope that you all see both me and my presentations, hear my voice, and everything is working as it should be. Please write to the chat if everything works. I hope that you will. Yesterday was quite good, I believe, and everything worked as they should be, so I'm really hopeful also for today. Everything's working. Thank you, Jonna. That's excellent. So we had a long day yesterday. We discussed a lot about the topic of e-business in tourism itself, some of the theories and concepts that are lying underneath this phenomenon, some history, and to some practical applications and advices on how to do e-business in practice. Did anybody have anything that they would like for me to clear up from yesterday? Did you understand anything? Is there some kind of part of my presentations or lectures that was unclear to you that you would like me to elaborate a little bit more, or anything like that? Any questions or ideas that came up from yesterday's lectures? Did you learn anything? Hopefully at least something. I will also wait a little bit for your answers, as chatting will take some time. But we indeed went through a lot of different things yesterday. Huge topic, very many probably new ideas and concepts for you, so it might be a bit difficult to grasp and understand everything, but hopefully we will get these lectures, these presentations online also for you to watch later on, maybe even in YouTube, or download these lectures to your computer. I'm not exactly sure which one will work, but hopefully you will have these available for you when you are doing the course assignments. And one thing I will change with the course assignments is that you will be able to do the research plan as a pair work, and I will use the discussion board and start a discussion there after these lectures, where you can find yourself a pair that you can do the assignment with. It's not mandatory, but it is a bit difficult assignment, and I think that if you could talk and exchange ideas with a partner, that would help both of you to really understand the topic a little bit better and make it easier and better for you to do the research plan. So I will exchange change the information and add more information to Moodle after these lectures, or maybe during a break. How does that sound? Then there was a question that can you do these assignments in your own language, or do they have to be in English? And I think that it would be fair for everybody if the language of the assignments would be English. There's not single native English speaker in this course, I think, so it would be fair if all the assignments and everybody would do it in English, because there are some students here in this course who cannot do it in their native language. But I will update these to assignments today. So no questions from anybody. Everything is clear. I I have to think that I'm a fantastic teacher or something like that because everything is so clear for you guys, but that's fine. If at any point you have any questions regarding the topics that are at hand or some previous topics, I will be happy to answer them. So today we also have the second quite long day ahead of us. We are still focusing very much on e-business in tourism in practice, applied e-business in tourism, what to do. First, during these morning lectures, we're going to go through analyzing and managing online business or modern tourism business in online environment. Then, after the break, we are focusing on mobile devices, these small devices that have changed our world. Then, after another break, we are going to go through the rest of the topics that are presented in my framework that we have been going through for this couple of days. Then we have lunch, and after the lunch, we are focusing on destination management and marketing in the era of online business. Destination management organizations and national tourism organizations are quite big players when it comes to affecting tourists' choices and developing destinations. And we are looking at what is the role of these organizations and destination management now that everything is basically digital. And then after the last break, we're going to go through the future of tourism in a digitalizing world and where we are going. So we started from history and we examined where we are at the moment, and then we are looking at what is to come in the future. And hopefully after that we are done, have some final conclusions, ideas, hopefully some kind of discussion and questions and comments from you guys, and then we call it a day and start doing the assignments for this course. So excellent, everything is working well. So we are continuing the lectures. Where is this? Yes. Analyzing and managing online business. Well, actually, it probably should be analyzing and managing business online. So it's not only about online businesses, it's all about just normal businesses. Every business basically that has anything to do with online, with information and communication technologies, need to analyze and manage their marketing, their operations, their websites, everything. And information and communication technologies are fantastic for this purpose because they will provide so much data to use and base your decisions and business decisions on. If you just know what to look for, what to analyze, and how to use that data. This is the framework that I've presented and used during this course. We've looked quite a lot of these topics. Today we focus more on mobile and measuring and monitoring effectiveness. This is what we are talking right now. Then we are going to go through the rest of these topics, including search engine marketing, search engine optimization, and marketing automation and such. So by the end of this day, you should have a quite clear understanding, or at least some kind of understanding of what this picture actually means and how you can use it. This is a very popular quotation that comes up quite often when we are talking about data. It's called that data is the new oil of the digital economy. So it is what keeps everything rolling. It is also, this can be also understood that the new digital economy runs on data. And this is pretty much visible when we are looking at the business model of Facebook, when we are looking at the business model of Google, all the big companies. They are really data dependent. Also, Alibaba, which is one of the largest business conglomerates in China, is now really starting to use the data that they have in their disposal as one part of their business model. They are becoming a data company. They have 100 million visits or something like that every day in their services, or even more. So the amount of data they gather from people, not just from Chinese people, but from people all around the world, is just enormous. And all these bring up new possibilities in using this kind of data. There are quite a lot of important terms that I hope that you would be familiar with, that we have to know to understand how everything works in this topic. These are some of the terms that I think are quite important. Could be excellent terms, for example, for some kind of bingo, but we're going to go through them this way. Lead. Basically, if you would be here, I would ask you what these are and do you have any idea about their contents and so on. But now that Mushasi is the only one here and the rest of you would take a bit too long to understand, I'm going to go them through myself. Lead is a potential customer, potential user whose information is known to the company. So whenever you get a new business card from a new potential customer, that is a lead. Whenever you get someone to sign up for your newsletter because they are interested in your product, that is a lead. Lead is also something that is saved to customer relationship management database or to some kind of database and marked as a potential customer, marked as a lead. Very much connected to customer CRM, customer relationship management, and these are typically softwares that collect all the information from your customers and their contacts and how you have interacted with them into one database. Conversion means that you get a lead or a user to do something that you want them to do. It's kind of like an end goal for your marketing campaign. You want the users to convert. There's many different kind of conversions. You could say that when someone orders your newsletter, that's a one conversion. When someone likes your Facebook page, that's one conversion. When you get someone to download a PDF document from your website that you want everybody to read, that's a conversion. Or when you get someone to reserve a hotel room, book a holiday or something like that, that is also definitely a conversion. You convert them from lead into actual customers, actual users. Database is something that stores information from various sources. So it is a place like an Excel file or Google Documents file that has a lot of information regarding your business. KPIs, key performance indicators, are measurements that we briefly discussed yesterday already, but they are the most important measurements for your business. These are the ones that you have to basically daily watch, how you are doing with these key performance indicators. They can be, for example, sales, they can be, for example, profits you make or conversions or something like that. You can define these yourself, but there are many possibilities, and depending on your company, they vary. Measurements are all the things that you can measure using these online tools that you have. Page view, how many users you have on your page view website, how many applications, downloads you have, how long your users visit your website, what's their bounce rate, meaning how large portion of your users leave the website immediately and so on. These are all measurements, and you need measurements and you need them to be saved somewhere, for example, a database. Then, of course, when we are talking about data analyzing, we are talking about big data. It's incredible what kind of databases already basically your Google Analytics account holds. If you would separate all that data that you have from your Google Analytics and put it into a one database, it would be a huge file with tens of thousands of measurements and items, and of course when you take data from 5 years, that would already be quite a big data set. There's no clear distinction when data becomes big data, data set becomes big data, but this is definitely something that modern technology allows, because there's so many people online, 3.6 billion people online, and they are all constantly generating and creating data online. It just means that the size of data packages becomes larger and larger. Data files become larger and larger. Then A/B testing is a useful thing for you to know if you want to do. Basically, it's one of the basic principles of online marketing, meaning that you can do a small change to a website. You can, for example, change the color of your buying button on your website, or your add to cart button, and change its color to another, and measure how well the new color compares to the old one. Does it increase conversion? Does it increase sales? You have version A of the website and you have the version B of the website, and you test which one is doing better. And for example, Google Analytics allows this kind of testing to happen. And this kind of testing is very much what you should do in all kind of marketing campaigns. I already showed you yesterday my Facebook marketing campaign for tourism marketing and management program have two very similar advertisements. Let's say advertisement A and advertisement B, and there's only one sentence difference between them, and already we can see that there are huge differences in the results. And so you change some little thing and you measure how well that performs to original thing. And then ROI should be really familiar. This is abbreviation that you have to know if you are talking about online marketing. It's return on investment. It basically means that how many times you get the investment back in income when you do an investment. And this is something that companies are really much interested in. And of course, if they invest money in something, they expect that investment to bring money back, and probably, hopefully, more than what the investment initially was. And then there's this good question of how data and information and wisdom and intelligence differ from each other. It all leads to the discussion that data itself is not valuable. It's how the data is used and how intelligence and wisdom from the data is created that is really valuable, and that makes the difference. I really like this show, MythBusters, with Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman. I think this quote from Adam is fantastic thing to understand and apply to this context also.
Remember, kids, the only difference between screwing around and science is writing it down.
Let's say that again.
Remember, kids, the only difference between screwing around and science is writing it down.
I think that's very well said. The only difference between screwing around and science is writing it down. And I could very well apply that to data analytics. The only difference between marketing and screwing around is writing it down and analyzing it. It's the same thing. Anybody can do marketing. Anybody can do business online. But it completely depends on how you use the feedback you get from your actions and what you do with that information that separates real marketing from basic marketing. And this is the smorgasbord of content marketing metrics that we discussed already yesterday. And it's so important to understand that you have huge number of different kind of metrics. These are metrics and measurements. You can measure all of these, and probably if you're using some kind of analytic system, you get quite easily information about all these metrics. These are very basic metrics that, for example, Google Analytics gives you. How many visitors you have, how many web pages the visitors view when they come to your site, where do they come from, what kind of devices they use, what kind of content they use. These are the basic things that should be really familiar with you. Then there are engagement metrics, meaning that these are the ones that actually measure how good the people that come to your website are for your business. If they do not engage with your website, for example, they immediately leave your website, or just come to the website, spend 5 seconds there and leave, or maybe browse a couple of web pages on your site, but do not, for example, fill out a form, or do not order a newsletter, or do not view a video that you wanted, engage your site, then they are not that good visitors for you. They might be, and the thing with online marketing is that with enough money you can get tons and tons and tons of visitors to your website. It's basically only dependent on the amount of money you have. But to get them to engage with your website, that requires already some kind of skill and website design and so on. Then we also have positioning metrics, meaning how well you compare to the markets. Which are your strong search engine keywords, for example? What kind of growth you have on your Facebook followers? How many people you reach weekly with your messages, and so on. How do you compare with your competitors and the market in general? Then the most important ones, the key KPIs we discussed already a couple of slides back. Sales, leads, profit, members, downloads, recommendations, key pages, retention metrics, and so on. These are the ones that are probably most important. They are like the final metrics, the ones that you really should focus on. So basically it doesn't matter how well you do in these all aforementioned metrics if you do not do well with your key performance indicators. Even if you have million page visitors, but no sales, no profit, no new leads, you're doing something wrong. So you have to be really careful. What do you want to do with your marketing? And why data is the new oil of our economy, why it keeps everything running. There is a lot of it. Nowadays, you saw some slides yesterday that how much is going on online all the time. Everything generates a lot of data. And if you have data, if you have numbers, if you can base your ideas and words on something more concrete than just how you feel, then you are in much stronger position, and it's easier to justify your opinions and decisions when they are based on numbers, and you can show that because these numbers, because our Facebook followers have been growing by 20% each week, I think we should continue that marketing campaign even though it's a bit expensive or something like that. Using this data definitely leads to better decisions, more educated and informed decisions. And really to succeed in business, not just the customer understanding, but in general, data collection, data processing, data analysis, and using that data. So these 4 steps are the ones that you have to do when you are doing database, or when you are managing your campaigns, when you are managing your business. Everything you do online should be based on data, basically, and customer understanding, of course. And what defines all of this, that how this whole data collection process goes, is the company strategy and goals. So they have to be clear to know what kind of data to collect, what measurements to use, what are important measurements and what are not. They are all dependent on company strategy and goals. The company strategy defines what is important for the company, what is not. How do we, for example, differ from the competitors and who our main customers are? It defines what needs to be measured. And definitely all employees should know what the company strategy is and how their own work helps the company to achieve that, to get to the goals and go forward with the strategy. And there might be different strategies in different markets. And for example, in tourism, we are doing, basically our marketing can be divided in 2 parts. There's domestic marketing and international marketing, domestic guests and international guests. And marketing strategies, for example, and company strategies even, could be completely different in different markets. And this defines the focus on what kind of data we have to collect and use. What are the goals of the company? What kind of goals can a tourism business have? We tend to think that, well, you can probably answer this question yourself. I do hope that some of you have some idea. Why do companies exist? What are the goals of the companies? What kind of ideas you have in mind? You can write them on the chat if you have any ideas on why companies exist. What are the goals of the companies? I'm gonna go wait a little bit, but gonna show you the first one. For example, maximizing profit in short term, or maybe maximizing profit in long term. This is something that is very often thought to be most important goal of the company, that they just want to maximize their profits, make as much money as possible. But there are many more strategies for businesses than just maximizing profit in long or short term. Yes, I got the message a bit late, but some say yes, making profit, definitely the first one. Anyone else have any ideas? Of course, companies, especially in the long term, companies should make some kind of profit. But that might not be the only goal of a company. They might just want to outdo their competitors, do better in some metrics than competitors. For example, just get more international tourists than, for example, nearby destinations. Making profit, so this is making profit, increase the number of workers, enter new markets, and etc. Good. Company can also maximize growth. For example, if a company wants to get a good stock rate, they have to grow. Growth is something that is really important for publicly listed companies. If they do not grow, then the investors are not gonna like that. So some companies might want to maximize growth instead of just making profit, and this is very typical. For example, these new modern businesses like Airbnb, that they have maximized growth and internationalization instead of just making profits. They have focused on gaining market share, gaining new customers, gaining foothold in different markets instead of just maximizing their profits. Also, when we are looking at small and medium-sized tourism businesses, we can see that for some companies, for some entrepreneurs, the only goal of the company is that it gives them steady income. They don't have to work too much. They can do whatever they want. They can work in the field they love, and they have no intention to grow, no intention to maximize profit. They just want a steady income that's enough for them to maintain their current standards of living. Yingfen supply more work opportunities for society. Excellent. Fantastic. Creating jobs. Definitely that could be a goal of a company. Some entrepreneurs in some cultures will be really happy even if they do not make that much profit, even if they do not have maximal growth or market share, but they still create jobs for the society. And they are being part of the community. Some entrepreneurs are just happy that they can contribute to their local community, for example, provide nature education for school kids or something like that. And that's the reason why a company exists. So there are many different reasons why what companies can aim for, and all of these have different kind of measurements and different kind of key performance indicators, for example, also in online marketing that the company has to look for. For example, gaining market share means that you have to get if the company goal is gaining market share, that would also mean that you would have to try to measure how many of your customers are new customers that come from your competitors, for example. If you want to maximize growth, you have to focus on measurements such as community size increase, web page visits increase, and so on, that tell how your business is growing. One keyword I already mentioned was return on investment. It's the main marketing effectiveness measurement, and it's a good measurement because it makes it possible to compare various campaigns. And in this case, you think and you should have a way to measure how much each customer, new website visitor, for example, creates income for the company. This is possible, and I will demonstrate you later on with Google Analytics, for example, how this works. But basically, you can have an advertisement in Facebook, social media, or Google AdWords or anywhere, and you can measure how much people come from that advertisement to your website and how much money they bring to your company, and compare the costs of the investments. And you will be able to calculate return on investment based on this formula. But it's not a perfect measurement. It does not take into account time frame, for example, fixed costs, and etc. And especially in tourism, it's sometimes difficult to attribute a person to a single advertisement and or single banner or single blog post or single content, because people are especially when deciding a tourism trip, it's a long process, very difficult, very multidimensional process in which people surf the internet with various devices in long time period, many times in different channels and so on. So it can be quite difficult to calculate return on investment in some cases. But in any case, it's quite useful in modern marketing to examine campaigns and marketing actions, especially single campaigns and marketing actions, and compare them with each other and to find out which one is the best, which one creates the largest return on investment. Then we have data collection, how you collect the data. These modern information systems are collecting quite a lot of data automatically, so you don't have to basically do that much, and your company will have quite a lot of data at their disposal. But of course, if you want to have, for example, deep understanding of your customer experience, then you have to probably go outside these technological methods and, for example, talk with your customers. But there are also methods in which you can use mobile phones that we discuss later on in the mobile phones lectures that you can use to collect this similar kind of deep experiential information. But you have to know what kind of data you need, what kind of data you need to make better decisions, what information is critical and what information is useful. You have to know this to know what kind of measurements and metrics you have to use and collect and analyze. Sorry, I have a Finnish word there, lead. It's leads. How systematic is lead collection in the organization? Is it just that the salespeople collect leads? Does the customer representatives or customer service people understand when there could be a new lead in their hands? And then, of course, what is being done with the leads? If you find a new lead, get new information, contact information from a potential customer, how are these leads transferred, not nurtured into customers, into actual customers, into someone who buys them? Who is responsible for that? What's the process of making lead into a customer? And which leads, this is especially important, which leads should be tried to convert into customers, because not all leads are equal of worth. There are some leads that are much more valuable than others, and it's quite important also to collect information on these potentials of different leads. Data has to be also processed when after it's collected. This is not really a big problem. Maybe in tourism research in general, it's a bigger problem that if you collect, for example, survey data, you have to remove bad answers and for example, combine various data sets and change data formats for analyzing programs, for example. But when we are looking at the data we get from Facebook and Google Analytics and all these sources, you have to be really careful not to just blindly believe all the numbers you get, because there are a lot of literature that can be found online that shows that there's a lot of variety in these numbers. For example, let's say I do a Facebook advertisement that sends people to a website that I own, and the Facebook tells me that their users have clicked this advertisement 80 times. There's 80 people that should have come to my website, but Google Analytics shows me that only 63 people have come to the website. So there's 17 people missing. Which number is the correct number? Which one is right and which one is wrong? There's a lot of these kind of little details that you have to be aware of when looking at these numbers. But they are, in any case, they are quite good in pointing you to the right direction, at least. This is also quite important, that what you do with the data you have, what you do with the data you have collected and processed, and how do you analyze it. There are, for example, when looking at different kind of measurements, there are easy ones and complex ones. For example, page visits, how many offer requests you get, how many video watches you have on your YouTube video, or how many Facebook followers you have. They are quite easy to understand their meaning and their measurement, and where does the number come from and what does it mean. But then there are some very, very complex measurements, some very important things that you have to understand and try to find answers for, but they are really difficult to do. For example, customer lifetime value. How much money does a customer relationship on average bring to your company, or how does different kind of customers or customer segment differ from each other regarding their lifetime value? Which are the relationships that provide the most value for your company? What's the social media return on investment? This is always been a huge discussion going on, that can you measure social media return on investment? And it's not an easy task, but there are quite a lot of information and ideas and literature to be found on how to measure social media return on investment. Then attribution modeling, for example, I talked just a few minutes ago how difficult the tourism information search process is, and then you saw it already in the theory slides, that how many different parts they are involved in it, and how many different channels and devices and websites and all these applications tourists use then when they are making the decision, and which one is the decisive part of that information search. How much value do you point to Google advertisement that made the customer come to your website for the first time, or how much value do you attribute to a Facebook advertisement that was retargeted to that customer that actually led to final sale? So this is something that has to be thought of, but Google, for example, has quite good attribution modeling tools that you have to be, of course, I would say that you have to be quite good experts to use, but it's still possible. And then there are also, we all recognize that customer satisfaction is an important part of how well the company is doing, but what is its effect? How much does customer satisfaction, increasing customer satisfaction from 7.6 to 7.8, how much does it affect company profits? When should a company stop investing in increasing customer satisfaction? When does increasing customer satisfaction become more expensive than its effect on company profits? So these are really complex measurement issues that do not have like single easy measurement, but are still very important things for companies to understand and know. And the good thing about modern applications and programs is that almost all of them, Facebook, Twitter, Google Analytics, CRM system, Yandex, VKontakte, Ctrip, WeChat and such have really good opportunities and analytics to study your audience and actions and how much everything matters that you do. And definitely these are the things that I really recommend to become an expert in. And also, in the case that you need to justify your opinions based on data, it's quite important for you to visualize the data to support your ideas and thoughts. How you present your data and results make all the difference in the world. If the data is presented maybe just by the numbers and not visualized at all, it might not come clear what you are aiming at. Good data, good visualization is easy to read and understand. So you basically immediately when you see a figure, you see what is it all about. It also includes context, for example, trend or comparison to earlier or something like that. And it's definitely simple. There's not too many elements in it. And this is a good example of a software that you could be using. It's the Power Business Intelligent Desktop. I'm going to show you how
connect the data, transform it, model it, and build reports and visualizations.
How it actually works.
Uncover insights.
So you can import all
the
different kinds of data sets to this
system. The best place to get started is just to hit Get Data on this first screen. You'll get a list of all of the different data sources we support. I'm going to choose SQL Server as an example. Just type in the name of the machine you want to connect to. And in this navigator, you can see all of the databases available to me, and I can browse through to the table that I'm interested in. If I select this one, I can either load it directly, or I can choose to edit that query and transform the data as it gets pulled into the Power BI desktop. I've got some really simple data in here, just some information about sales to different segments in different countries and of different products, etc. In this query editor, I can do a whole bunch of different things, adding and removing columns, I can split things up, I can group data in different ways, and I can do a whole bunch of different transformations to shape and construct this data the way that I want to. Actually, it's in pretty good shape, so I don't need to do anything like that. All I'm going to do is hit close and load. We're now going to load that data into the Power BI desktop. Now here on the right hand side I can see all of the different columns that got pulled in. If I want to start building visualizations, all I need to do is choose the field that I'm interested in and drag it over to the canvas on the left hand side. Let's analyze that by product. And it splits it out for me. I can see the per sale products way outselling anything else. Let's try some different visuals. We support a range of different visualizations. And if I want to insert, for example, a map, just click that icon and now start dragging some fields onto it. Let's take a look at country. And let's look at that again by our gross sales. So now I can see that the USA is probably the place where it's selling the most, followed by Canada, then France and Germany. So maybe let's look at some different visuals. Let's try a donut chart. And for this one, let's again look at our units sold. I'm going to use this area on the right here to control exactly how this visual is made up. But this time, rather than looking at it by product, I'm going to look at it by segment. So we can see we're doing most of our sales in the government area. Finally, we can choose, let's build some details and put a table into here. Let's look at the number of discounts that are being given and which months we were doing our sales in, the products, and let's add a few more of those numeric values as well. Great, I've got a really useful report here. It's got quite a lot of detailed information in it, and I'm just going to save this locally. This is my sales report. And I can also choose to publish this up to the Power BI service from here.
The thing with all this kind of data analysis is that it gets easier and easier all the time. You don't have to anymore understand how all these Excel files work and how to make beautiful graphs out of it. These kind of programs really help you to build information that's easy to show and demonstrate what you mean and base your opinions on. So even though you could create these kind of reports and you could collect a lot of data and use it and analyze it and find interesting results, it's still not enough. You have to be able to use it as a basis of making decisions. Utilize it in the right way. Who in the organization have access to different kinds of data? Is there one person who is responsible for all data that the company has, or does the different departments or different persons in a company have various kind of data sets? Are they combined together in any way? who is responsible in the company that right data finds the right person and that the right results find the right person. There could be, for example, some kind of silos or departments or something like that that do not exchange information that could be beneficial for the whole company. And also how marketing data is transferred to sales. And I personally think that marketing and sales are really part of the same thing. There's not one without the other, but sometimes there could be marketing people and sales people, and then they do not or their cooperation could be more efficient. Especially when marketing data is not available to salespeople, or salespeople do not have enough time or resources to look at the marketing data. And also, I cannot stress this enough, how important it is to know your customers. Because if you know your current customers, it also makes it so much easier to get new customers. Because new customers are probably very similar to your existing customers. Unless you are going to go to new markets or launch something completely new product or something crazy like that. But typically, this is quite true. How well do you know your segments, and how deep and thorough is your customer knowledge? So even if you would know that your young people who are your customers use Snapchat 7 hours a day and WhatsApp 2 hours a day and never visit news websites or anything like that, do you really know what really, for example, affects their travel decisions? It's a completely different thing for them to spend 7 hours on Snapchat than make travel decisions there. And again, I've been talking quite a lot about this testing and optimization. So you constantly have to test new things. So basically, marketing can take unlimited resources because you can always test new things. But at some point, you will reach the level that it's so good that it's not any more reasonable to test new things. But at least do some kind of that testing to maximize the return on investment in marketing. And conversion measurements is something that is critical in online marketing. So you have to be able to find out what is your conversion that you aim for, and how much does your marketing contribute to that conversion. And all these different services like Yandex and Facebook and Google have different kind of solutions where you can add a piece of code to your website. So you need access to page source code, but you type in a little block of code or copy paste a little block of code to your website that tells Google, that tells Facebook how the users that come from their services, what they do on your website, and they keep track of the people that come through different channels and different advertisements to your websites. And definitely they need to be installed in basically every website. And Google Analytics is one of the basic tools of following your online marketing. It has become quite an industry standard. There are many other programs that are similar to it that analyze the log data that your server saves, but Google Analytics, especially when it can be combined with Google AdWords, is a very powerful tool. And what Google is now doing is that if you have Google account, you can access this kind of demo account, which is the actual Google Analytics data from their Google Merchandise Store. This is information on how you can access this data. But if you want to practice using analytics, it's a fantastic opportunity. And here I have added this test demo account to my own Google Analytics account, and you can see it here. And this is what it shows. This is actually good. Improvements are coming soon to the Google Analytics user interface. So they are changing this user interface and making it better, because this has always been quite big chunk of data that you get when you sign into Google Analytics. There's so much going on here that it's without proper training, it's quite difficult to really understand everything that is going on here and use Google Analytics as efficiently as possible. And this, but you can, in any case, see here on the left side that what things you can measure here on the website. You can measure conversion, behavior, what they do on your website, acquisition, where do they come from, audience, who they are, and then real time, what is happening there on your website right now. For example, right now, Google Merchandise Store has 16 active users on the site. 81% of them are from desktop and 19% from mobile. And here you can see which pages are active, their home page is active, and so on. So, but basically these four things are the main things that you can examine, and each one of these has a lot of data behind it, and all of these parts of these wider topics have more and more data behind them. Let's see, for example, mobile use. This is actually really surprising that 89% of merchandising store people use desktop devices and only 15% use mobile devices. We could think about why this is so when we look at this. Let's say. So this store basically just sells Google stuff, YouTube stuff, everything that's connected, apparel and miscellaneous and office and lifestyle and tech and such. So this is really kind of like heavy user stuff, not normal people just walk around using Google products. So you basically have to have a really good reason to buy, for example, Google shirt. It's probably not the most fanciest shirt you can buy. So, but in any case, and there's still a trend even nowadays that people, when they are buying something, they want to use a desktop computer to do that. But mobile online buying is increasing quite fast. But in any case, as desktop is still preferred. Well, we can also look at acquisition, where the users come from, and we get a lot of information from users from different sources. For example, we can examine bounce rate from different sources. Bounce rate tells that how big a percentage of people immediately leave the website when they come to our website. And we can see, for example, that people who come through social media, 71% of them immediately leave the merchandise store. But people who come from other websites that refer to this merchandise store, only 20% of them immediately leave. So there's a huge difference between the acquisition channels. And these are the website that direct people to the merchandise store. Apparently this that analytics.google.com diverts people quite a lot is because it's the demo account and so. And with behavior, we can see which websites they examine the most, and so on. And this conversion is one of the most important things, because this is a web store, so Google wants to sell stuff. And there, this is, for example, it's not working properly. Sales funnel is something that a concept that probably should be really familiar, or you should get familiar with. And it shows, sales funnel shows in which part of the purchasing process people drop off. So basically when they have added products to their cart, around 35% continue from there. When people have gone to the billing and shipping phase of making order, 77% continue to payment, and from payment 74% continue to review, and from review 92% continue to purchase completed. And this just means that basically regarding selling and e-commerce, every step you have on your website is a fantastic opportunity to lose a customer. The more steps you have, the more chances there are for people to stop ordering. And the sales funnel is basically a funnel that goes smaller and smaller the further you come to the sales process. When there are 6,800 people during the past month who started the sales funnel, there are only 1,276 who purchased and completed the purchase. So that's almost 19%. So basically from the beginning, 85% or more than 80% of users dropped off. So that's quite a lot. Most of them here in the cart phase. So now they could look into what's happening here in the cart phase, why so many people are not continuing to billing and shipping. But this is a really typical thing that people easily add things to cart, but then they do not buy, or even they just want to collect everything in one place and see how much it would cost and so on. And you can see that also in travel and tourism online stores and websites. But as you could see, there's incredible amount of things that you can use Google Analytics to look at and examine, and so if you want to become like Google Analytics master, which or really like power user, which is a really sought after profession at the moment, people who understand actually how Google Analytics works and how its data can be used for business purposes, then it's quite a lot of education and training that you have to take. But just to get the basic use of everything can be really well yourself learned if you just put effort into it. And Google in Analytics, for example, has quite a lot of advice videos. Use goals to measure how well your site or / app meets business objectives, and everywhere here you can see these helpful videos that if you just go through the videos, you understand a little bit better what the website is all about, or what that part of Google Analytics is all about. So, and these really help quite a lot. But everybody can, for free, install this Google Analytics demo account and just examine their data, and I think that's fantastic. But when we are looking at the data, it doesn't actually, you don't need to be expert in everywhere. You don't need to have all the
Hi, welcome to Clipfolio.
channels.
Clipfolio is a business dashboard application that runs completely in the cloud. You can use it to continuously monitor the performance of your business, getting answers to timely questions like, which sites are referring the most traffic to my website right now? And what are today's sales? Over 500 data sources are currently being connected to Klipfolio dashboards. These include web services like Google Analytics, Twitter, and Moz, as well as data that resides on-premise, on servers and in data warehouses. And many customers upload computer files the old-fashioned way. Connecting data points to Klipfolio is simplified, with pre-built connectors for data that lives in different places. If we don't have a pre-built connector to your data source, you can use our open connector to define your own connections. Our connector gallery makes the process of defining data connections yourself easier, with a user-friendly interface and docs that will help you perform API requests. There are two ways to build data visualizations and dashboards with Klipfolio. You can use our pre-built dashboards and data visualizations, which we call clips, or you can build them on your own, from the ground up. The quickest way to get up and running with Klipfolio is with the Clip Start. These are pre-built dashboards for Google Analytics and AdWords. All you have to do is provide your user credentials for these services, and you'll have your dashboard. It'll take you less than a minute. Another way to add pre-built clips to your dashboard is through the Clip Gallery, our library of pre-built data visualizations for dozens of popular web services. Select the service you'd like to connect to, then pick the pre-built clip you'd like to add to your dashboard. Provide your user credentials, and you'll have the clip added to your dashboard in no time. Once you've added pre-built dashboards and clips, you can modify them however you'd like in Klipfolio's powerful clip editor. Let me show you. To get to the clip editor, click Build a Custom Clip. You can select any component from the menu to get started. I'll use an Excel spreadsheet as my data source. I uploaded this to my data library earlier. This is the clip editor. The data source I selected is displayed below. Just above my dataset is the formula bar. This is where I'll specify what data I want to display in my clip and how, with Excel-like formulas and basic math functions.
But the Klipfolio, for example, is just one of the various applications that you can use to make and to manage all of this data that you have at your disposal. So you don't have to go to Facebook and Twitter and Google Analytics and all these separately, but you can bring data from all these sources into one place, into one program, and see the big picture. And this is quite valuable for marketers to use. And finally, we are coming to artificial intelligence analytics. And there's so much data going on that it's impossible. It's starting to be impossible to analyze it all with human effort. So we need artificial intelligence. And one of these leading artificial intelligence is at this moment is Watson from IBM, which is constantly being developed and already being able to go through a lot of data and find out what is interesting, what is important from huge data sets and automatically work and find out by itself what is important and what is not. And then there are, of course, business intelligence softwares that really helps. If you are working for a bigger company, you basically have to have a business intelligence software which takes everything together into one place. But that was it for analytics and data use. I hope that you at least understand that you can dabble with marketing as much as you want, but measuring it, writing it down is all that makes the difference between good marketing and inefficient marketing. So the only way to do efficient marketing is to do it by looking at the data and using the data to continuously improve, test, and make everything better. If you have any questions, I will keep the chat open for the break. We will have around 20-minute break, so we will continue 10:30 with mobile devices. So If you have any questions about these lectures, of course, you can just write them to the chat and I will answer them during the break. And so we will continue in 20 minutes. Thank you all for listening.